Welcome to my review of Miss Cosmo's first national costume competition. My name is Dani Walker. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I hope you enjoy and choose to subscribe. So we have a lot to talk about in this. There's been a lot of talk and expectation about this show, which is supposed to rival the Miss Universe competition, which is no easy feat. And I want to say it's really impressive what they've been able to do with the venue, the staging, the experience for the contestants, the $1 million USD prize award, not prize package, like cash. She's getting cash. So I'm really excited about this. But with that being said, there's always a lot of lessons to learn for your first production. And I do still feel like there's things that they can change and improve for next year. So I was very surprised by the National Costume Show because the expectation if you're trying to compete with Miss Universe is I like the format of the Miss Universe National Costume Show. I love that it's just like, hey, welcome to the show. Let's get right into it. And we immediately see the contestants. There's no fluff. It's fantastic. And I feel like that's why people love Miss Universe so much, most of us, right? And so for this show, what really surprised me is when I looked at the entire show that was on YouTube, the first 2/3 was not national costume, not contestants whatsoever. There were a lot of conversations with the hosts. Some of it was in Vietnamese and some was in English. And then we saw this commercial and promotion for Cosmo Academy, which seems to be for young girls. And I don't mind seeing a quick commercial in a show to promote something like that, like the kids are adorable. But when I tune in to watch National Costume Show, I'm expecting national costume. I'm not expecting a show with kids. We went from a commercial about Cosmo Academy to a fashion show of children in these Vietnamese type or inspired gowns and couture pieces essentially. And then there were a few adults at the end of this runway show. But it was very confusing for me to see a children's runway show, and it was so slow. It had to have been over 30 minutes. And the whole time I'm like, when are the contestants coming out for national costume? When is that happening? There was also a singer before the girls came out, and I was like, why do we need a performance? Like, this is not the place for it. They even brought judges on stage to present them with flowers. And I'm like, hey, I love acknowledging people and thanking them and appreciating them, but we got to get to the show first, and we can do that stuff later. And then there were two kind of, I would say, little glitches in the show where one contestant was announced and then another one walked out, and then there was nothing done to correct that was the wrong contestant. So like somebody's bio is read and then the other one's not. And so that was a little bit messy, and I feel like it's always up to the production to make those corrections. And things happen. Sometimes we announce the wrong girl, but we have to correct that during the live show. So that's something I'll be looking forward to in the future. So let me talk to you about the national costumes that for me really stood out or were memorable. Hong Kong looked so pretty in her traditional costume. I just love it. Like, she was such a contrast to a lot of other outfits that we saw. We typically see these bold, vibrant jewel tones because these are what are in flags, right? Like, we see red and yellow and green and blue and white. It's in a lot of flags, but Miss Hong Kong China, she wore these pastels and she had this flowing fabric and she had these fans and there was beautiful movement and like the hair and everything. It was so beautiful. One cool thing I noticed this year about a lot of the national costumes is that you could tell that there was a lot of tradition and culture that inspired the pieces, but then the pieces were turned into these very wearable national costumes. And for me, Ghana is a perfect example of that. She stood out in that white cocktail dress. The outfit she was wearing, she can wear it to an event, but it also incorporated traditional fabrics and colors of the flag. And I just thought she looked stunning in this. I loved it. Malaysia is one of those costumes where you take a very traditional look and then you glamorize it, or you just add a lot of beauty to it with adornments, with rhinestones and with beading and sequins. And I feel like that's a great example of this. It's like traditional, but you look at it and you're like, wow, she's just beautiful in this. Australia for me was a standout immediately because I've seen a lot of ocean or water type national costumes. It's quite common, but I haven't quite seen a skirt like this that was so deserving of a couture runway show. It had a very realistic look to the construction. It really did look like waves and sea foam, and then also the piece that went across her that looked like a splash of water. I was like, that was such a nice touch, and so this national costume really impressed me. Indonesia had such a cool costume. There was so much going on. There were so many intricate little parts and details. The use of color was really lovely. Just the entire like shape and how it really kind of brought the attention to her was outstanding and very memorable. Belgium's costume wasn't the typical showy or what I would call showgirl type national costume, but it was very kind of couture. It was so interesting that there were these individual tiled pieces that were connected by chains. And so it's kind of like this chainmail type look, but when you put it together, it was a painting from a Belgian artist, and I was so impressed by that. It was a simple costume, one unfortunately you're not going to appreciate from very far away, but it was such a cool concept. Miss Nigeria had a smaller costume, but what I really appreciated about her was the presentation of it and the dancing that she did on stage, and I love that. I feel like that can really enhance a costume and make a contestant stand out from the rest. So it wasn't just about the costume, but really that presentation. Cambodia was stunning, and the way that she came out with smoke on stage, the presentation, the intricate details of this costume was so impressive. And here's something that a lot of you might not know. So if you watch pageants like this one or like Supranational, you'll often see fire or sparklers on stage. And in the US, we don't usually do that because there's a lot of laws about fire safety in the US. So those things aren't even possible in the United States. So you're only going to get to see this in other countries. And so here's an example of this. But I would say, even if you want to create like that smoky effect and you can't in your particular country, maybe an alternative could be dry ice. I feel like, I don't know how you would do that, but it could be a cool alternative if you want to create kind of like that fog, smoky look. Colombia, I love this look. It was so cute. It was interesting to see this traditional dress, but it was cropped short, so it was a different take. I love the floral pieces on it, the flowers in the hair, all the itty bitty little details. It was just very cute. France, I liked that she was doing something of the moment, current of the time. We obviously just had the Olympics in France, in Paris, so it was cool to see that. I love all the medals dangling from her national costume, so that was really cool. Guinea kind of followed this same style of taking a traditional looking garment or fabrics, but then making it kind of pageanty or modernized. So we're seeing that here with the embellishments of the beading and the rhinestones. And I feel like that's such a doable thing. Like you could literally take any kind of traditional outfit and rhinestone the whole thing for the pageant stage, and it could be a really memorable piece. Nicaragua, lots of beautiful colors, movement. We had ruffles, so it looks like a very traditional type of garment, but one that you could wear to a gala, to an event, to a national holiday even. It was just so beautiful. I loved this one. I was obsessed with England's national costume. I grew up watching Mary Poppins and I love Julie Andrews. So this one for me is very much a personal nostalgic appeal, but I really like it. I like that scene from Mary Poppins. It's the one where she's dancing in the park with the penguins and Dick Van Dyke. It was so cute and so memorable, so I'm a fan of that one. Cote d'Ivoire really showed up for me. I can't remember the last time that I saw a national costume that also included face paint with it, and I thought that that was such just a unique and cool detail that you can really only do if you have the time for it. She also had this headpiece and she removed it. It was just such a cool costume, and then also presentation. It also incorporated the colors of the flag, so it was slam dunk for me. Canada did one of your classic showgirl style of national costumes, but it was really big, really beautiful. The color was amazing. It really popped on stage, and I feel like monochromatic national costumes tend to really stand out on stage. I think that Guatemala is also along those lines of using traditional fabrics and then creating a piece that you could actually wear to an event. This one was beautiful, lots of bright, beautiful colors, so I liked this one as well. Miss New Zealand was gorgeous in this Kiwi angel themed national costume. Unique colors here with the black color mixed in with that deep green. It's just not a color combo we see a lot of, but it was done really, really well. Obviously it was massive, and so it had those really captivating, visually captivating feathers everywhere. She looks stunning. Philippines, oh my gosh. Honestly, I'm not surprised, not just because it's Philippines, but because she has a lot of fans on her own. And I feel like a lot of people obviously wanted her to win that Universe Philippines title, and now she's here at Cosmo, so she still has so much support. And I love this costume for several reasons. First of all, it's so beautiful, the orange iridescent fabric. We rarely see orange at national costume or even for evening gown, and so that's gonna make you stand out. The sheer size of it, all of the details that she's wearing, I just loved it. It was so unique unique, and the way that she even presented it, this is one of my top 5, I would say, national costumes this year. Vietnam was not to be upstaged by anyone. This might be my favorite national costume. I feel like it's right up there with Philippines, like if I had to kind of think of a top 5, but Vietnam, gosh, she came out with a structure. She's stepping out of it. The costume itself is original, and I love this for her. She's the host country. So this was definitely a way to set the standard and set the stage for Miss Vietnam for this competition. I was just blown away by what was put together for her. So absolutely amazing. So after the national costume though, here's something else that stuck out to me that I just don't understand is they brought on Miss Indonesia and she performed a song. Now, I wouldn't mind this type of thing if there was some sort of, which I don't know, maybe there was, but if there's some sort of preliminary talent competition and your award is that you get to perform at this show, like that's fine if everybody gets that option. I don't know if that's how she was selected for this. If that's not what happened, then I'm not a fan of just featuring Miss Indonesia. I don't really think it's fair. So she got her solo performance, and then all the contestants joined her at the end of that song, and they came on stage and they danced with her. So that's definitely a change I would like to see in the future. I just don't love highlighting a specific contestant unless it's because, you know, she competed in some kind of preliminary competition, everybody had a shot, and, you know, she's the one that won it and advanced. I feel like that's a fair scenario, but you know, it's their first year, changes can be made, lots of things can happen between now and their future editions. The other thing I have to mention in this episode are the photos on stage, but more specifically off stage, backstage, of the contestants for this competition. I am so beyond impressed by this. Several reasons. So images of them on stage is one thing. They look fantastic, and I wish that Miss USA contestants had this. Unfortunately, this year, actually the past couple years, unless you were in the top 5 or the top 20, you're not getting any still images of yourself at Miss USA, and that hurts my heart because that's like something that you get to take away and always keep from the experience, and it's normal, and the ladies are not getting that. And I had several contestants reach out to me talking to me about how sad they were post-pageant that there's no pictures of them at Miss USA. How sad is that? You do all that, not a photo. And since you're not in the semifinals, not even a video of you competing at finals. Awesome. Unfortunately, it's not the norm for everyone right now. So the fact that Cosmo is doing such a great job managing their social media currently during the competition, lots of images, lots of videos of the ladies, and then these backstage shots are so cool. They're so artistic. It's not just a quick snapped photo of them. I mean, they are stylized. There's cool shadows and poses, and they're unique, and the ladies are going to be able to keep these forever and repost them and share them and look back at these memories fondly. And I love that. They also gave credit to the team that's taking these images and clearly, you know, editing them a little bit, I'm sure, and doing something in post to make them look so cool. But I love these. Well done. So far, this is a great start to the competition. The ladies are stunning, and I can't wait to see what they bring for swim and gown. Stay tuned for more episodes. Let me know what you want to see in the comments next on the channel. I appreciate all of your support, and I will see you very soon.